When I stepped on that beach, what I saw on that beach horrified me to this day. Reaction to geography now, Barbados, aka my country. Let's see if he's quite accurate.
So, Rihanna's from here.
It's time to learn geography now!
Hey everybody, I'm your host Paul Barbado, not Barbado. I grew up with that a lot as a kid, and today we're gonna
What? Okay, that's funny.
Barbados to the Barbados! So let's dissect the flag, and trust me, this one's gonna be insanos. Bam! The first thing you may notice about the flag is that there is a freaking trident on it.
Oh my goodness. Every single time people don't know what Barbados is and they're like, oh, show me the country, show me the country, and I show them the country and they see the flag, they're like, oh my goodness, that's such a cool flag, oh my gosh, oh, the flag is so awesome. I mean, the flag does look cool, come on, like, it's interesting how the flag became a thing. I might talk more about that at the end of the video.
Commonly referred to as the broken trident, it represents the nation of Barbados breaking away from the historical constitutional ties as a former British colony.
Yes, breaking away from our motherland. Yes, my friend. Every colonial country has a mother country. And in this case for Barbados, the UK is our mother country, and you could probably hear from my accent that it has a very British tone to it.
The 3 points represent the 3 principles of democracy, government of, for, and by the people. The vertical band of gold representing the sands of Barbados' beaches, and the blue represents the sea and the sky of Barbados.
Oh my goodness, man. The beaches in Barbados. Yo, let me tell y'all a story, bro. Actually, wait. I want to see if he's gonna talk about the beaches, then I'll tell y'all that story.
Like flags with weapons. Alright, so here's where Barbados is located. Barbados is located in the Atlantic Ocean just east of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
This right here is my mother's country. She's not from Barbados. I am from, me and my brothers, we're from Barbados. But my mother and daddy are from here. Interestingly enough, right? If you go high enough on like the highest point in Barbados and you have a good camera, you can actually see St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I've actually seen somebody recently done it on Facebook. I was like, wow, that's quite cool. You could also see these islands. Like my mother always used to tell me that you could see Martinique from St. Lucia. I'm not sure about St. Vincent, but it's very possible to see the island chain depending on the island, but it's much more harder. The only island that I think you could see from Barbados is St. Vincent. I'm not sure about St. Lucia.
In the Caribbean, you would think Barbados is part of the Caribbean, but you would be wrong and fail because technically it's located 100 miles away in the Atlantic Ocean, but you're not that wrong and fail because it's also considered part of the Caribbean by pretty much everybody else, so it's not.
Yes, yo, I had a Barbadian friend, right? And he was I remember he came up to us and he was like, you know, they shouldn't call us Caribbean, you know? They should call us Atlanteans. Because Barbados is basically in the Atlantic Ocean, but half of it is in the Atlantic Ocean and half of it is in the Caribbean. Because living there, right, you can literally go on the side that is facing towards the Caribbean Sea and the waters are so calm, like extremely calm. But if you go on the eastward side of the island, the part facing the Atlantic Ocean, you can tell that is the Atlantic Ocean because the waters are so rough compared to the calm Caribbean Sea. Like, trust me, if you ever go to Barbados, go on the west coast, look at how the seas are, and go on the east coast, and you will definitely tell the difference. So yes, it's like half of it technically is like Caribbean, other half is Atlantic Ocean.
Not that big of a deal, and I'm sorry, I love you guys. Anyway, essentially, Barbados is kind of awkwardly stuck between the two. It's like Vampire Caribbean and Werewolf Atlantic. Barbados, I will always love you for all eternity. No, Barbados, I am the only one for you. I will always love you. A lot of people say that the shape of Barbados... Barbados looks like a pear or a leg of mutton. I personally think it looks like a thumbs up, just without any of the other fingers. Yeah!
Yeah, some people also say that it looks like a boot.
In terms of its...
Oh, on pause. Yeah. When they taught us this in our like elementary school, we call it primary school because we took the British schooling system. Yeah, they were also going through like how some people like think Barbados, the shape of Barbados looks like. The more I look at it now, the more it does look like a mutton, unironically. It also kind of looks like a drumstick in a way.
Borders, things are gonna get really easy because Barbados is just one single island. Like, seriously, there are no other affiliated islands. It's just one lonely island. The total land...
It's sad. I always wish that Barbados had more islands, but we don't have any islands, but still.
The area is about 430 square kilometers and has a coastline length of about 97 kilometers, so you could drive around the entire island in less than a day, or you could power crawl across the entire island in about 30 hours with no rest and no stops. The capital is Bridgetown, located...
My home city, Bridgetown. And what he said about the island being small is so true. Oh my goodness. Yo, I remember, right, when I took off from the airport and the plane was like flying up from the airport, which if you look at the map, it's very blurry, but you can see the airport. But I remember when I took off and I just looked down and I just saw like the entire country. I was like, holy crap, this is like the entire country. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty small.
In the southwest part of the island, and the country is divided up into 11 parishes, and each parish you can find...
I lived in...
delightfully named towns like Friendship and...
I lived in St. Michael, Bridgetown, and then I moved to Christchurch. We didn't live in the city in Christchurch. We live in a place called Ealing Grove, Christchurch.
Pie corner. I wish this whole country was made of pie. Is it? Let's find out in... No, it's not made of pie. And unlike many of the other islands in the area, it's made up of over 85% coral limestone.
Oh my goodness, yes. Limestone. Without limestone, Barbados would not be Barbados. Without limestone. Yep, limestone. Even the Parliament building is literally made out of limestone. You know, the famous clock tower from Bridgetown. Some people call it Little Ben because it looks like Big Ben. I'm not gonna talk much about that. I'm gonna see when he dives into the culture, like what he talks about, then I'll talk more about that.
Lime. Barbados is also unique in that its geographic location avoids catastrophe very well. Let's elaborate. First of all, if you look at the map, all the other islands of the Lesser Antilles form an arc alongside a tectonic plate and are like volcanic and stuff. Barbados is way out on the east and does not have any volcanoes, and add on top of that, it's outside of the hurricane belt, meaning that most hurricanes generally miss or barely graze Barbados.
Yep. This is a fact that I knew growing up in Barbados. And this is actually one of the reasons why the country is pretty successful. Because we just never had like horrible catastrophes that like has set us back like many other countries do. Like Barbados is very like has a very good geography. Because hurricanes, we get them, but they're not like, they're usually like when they just formed, they're usually like tropical storm or like category 1. In rarer cases is it like category 2 or category 3. I always tell people when the hurricanes form, they're like very weak when they're at Barbados, but they go up the Caribbean island chain, and by the time they hit places like the United States and Florida, they develop into something really strong.
Barbados is all like, man, whatever, I do what I want. I don't need no volcano, y'all. I'm hot enough as it is. And y'all hurricanes, out of my face. Out of my face. Barbados, just like many of the other Caribbean islands, is generally flat. But now here's the thing. A lot of the land is arable, about 3/4, but they aren't really dependent on agriculture anymore. Before the 1950s, Barbados was kind of like on a sugar high. Sugar production dominated the economy, but like most sugar highs, seizure and death. Nah, just kidding. No, but seriously, sugar prices dramatically fell. Fortunately, Barbados was smart and shifted their focus to other means of revenue like tourism, business, and like many other adorable islands, offshore banking sectors, as they decided to become kind of somewhat of a tax haven, which drew in tons of international investors.
Oh, yo. This is the main driving component of Barbados. This is why Barbados is a high-income country. The tourism sector. But there's an interesting history of how Barbados even became the way how it is, right? Because the reason why Barbados has such a good tourism sector is number one, it's a very, very British island. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but I'm going to see if he talks about that. It's a very British island. Number two, before actually I watched a documentary about this. It was Cuba. Cuba was getting all the visitors, but Cuba became communist, and a lot of people found Barbados attractive because it just wasn't like bad. It wasn't like a very bad country that had a lot of bad crime. It wasn't like a dictatorship. It was obviously like attractive to many tourists for that many reasons. So yeah. And for the sugar high, yeah, unfortunately for us, the early leaders of Barbados, they studied, they had a good education. Most of them studied from England back when Barbados was a colony of the UK. They studied in England and they got to education, and because of that they used their skills and management to transform Barbados into a low income country to a high income country in 2024.
Which just goes to show, not charging people for things will definitely make them like you. Oh yeah, and Barbados has some beautiful beaches, coral reefs, and caves. But they've...
Let me talk about the funny story now. When I first came to the United States of America, Jacksonville, Florida, I'm stuttering. I thought everywhere around the world was just like Barbados that had a beach, right? Oh my gosh. So when we first came to Jacksonville, Florida, right, we were like, oh, let's go to the beach. And I was assuming that the beaches were just gonna be like in Barbados. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you, when I step on that beach, bro, when I step on that beach, what I saw on that beach horrified me. To this day, I never went back to the beach to this very day ever again after that. Like, oh my goodness, man. Oh, I really miss the beaches in Barbados. They're gorgeous. The beaches in America, oh, they
They've always been huge fans of rum. In fact, they are home to the oldest rum distillery in the world, which opened up in the piratey years of the early 1700s. Mount Gay rum. There's a saying.
I always found that hilarious. I always found that hilarious myself.
That Barbados has as many churches as rum shops, and to this day, rum alone makes up about 9% of the entire economy.
Okay, I did not know that. I actually did not know that. Wow.
The rum was made from whatever leftover sugar was from the sugar high. Church sugar rum. That's all you need in Barbados. Toss in a Rihanna and then bam. Well, Rihanna.
I'm gonna tell you something about her at the end of this video, though.
Rihanna is one Barbadian, but let's talk about the rest.
Like me.
Hey, what do you call a newborn Barbadian? A Barbabian! Okay, I just had to open this with something. Barbados has about 285,000 people, or a few more than Vanuatu. 90% of all Barbadians are of Afro-Caribbean descent or mixed descent, and the remaining 10% of the population include groups of Europeans.
Yeah, oh my goodness. You know, it's crazy to me how the population still hasn't really shifted. Actually, no, that's not true. I think like when I used to live there, the population used to be 250,000. So extra 30,000 people. That's pretty insane. Actually, yeah, that's for a small island like that. That's actually very insane.
Along with Asians. As mentioned before, there are lots of churches in Barbados, as 95% of the population identifies as Christian, of which 70% are regularly active. The largest denominations are Anglican, and the other branches like Methodists and Baptists.
Anglican, yeah, from the colonial British roots. Let's see what more he has to say.
Barbados is also known to live long. Barbados and Japan have the highest per capita occurrences of centenarians in the world. Must be something in that rum. Barbados is the only country.
Also because Caribbean people don't eat garbage like Americans. Look, let me tell you something, right? My cousin, when she came from Barbados, he brought a chicken from Barbados, a chicken leg, like from a local restaurant in Barbados. Oh my goodness, I will never forget this, bro. And when she showed us the chicken, right, because she was bringing us food from Barbados, because we hadn't had food from Barbados in like literally a decade, right, bro? Let me tell you, the chicken that she had was so much more smaller compared to the American chicken. The chicken from Barbados was so small. I'm not exaggerating. Americans put so much chemicals in their food, so much garbage, so much rubbish in their foods. It lowers the lifespan of the people. Caribbean people don't do that. Caribbean people eat natural foods for the most part. Although there is a growing population in Barbados, I've heard that is eating more and more fast food, junk food, etc., etc. But my statement still stands. Like compared to America, ooh. Okay, he's gonna talk about the fact that we were a British colony for 300 years. 300 years.
Country in the Caribbean to have been a colony of the British Empire for over 300 years, which is why it is affectionately called sometimes as Little England. Of course, English is the...
That's right. Not only that, but because we're the most English Caribbean island, everyone from Barbados knows that the whole island is literally like built to the core. Like the core of the island is built on British culture, British traditions, etc., etc. Like you can't have Barbados without Barbados. I mean, not Barbados. You can't have Barbados without Britain or any of the British influence that it brought on us. I mean, like, I've had so many people like hear me speak and they assume that I'm from the UK. Like, I talk to New Zealand people, I talk to Australian people, and some of them get me confused and they think that I'm from the UK. I'm like, oh no, I'm a Bajan. Like what he sees. Bajan. My channel name.
official language, but with a distinguishable but subtle Barbadian dialect known as Bajan. Located
Bajan, that's my channel name. That's where I get my channel name from.
In the southwest part of the country is Bridgetown, the capital, which has a little bit more than a third of the population. Bridgetown keeps it old school. They like to maintain a lot of their colonial buildings.
Yep. Look at all the British influence
from a long time ago. Also, if you go to Barbados, you'll most likely return, as they have the highest repeat visitor factor in the region at 39%, mainly because Barbadians are so super nice and friendly. Also, it's so great to visit that it's one of the only places in the world that George Washington ever traveled outside of the US. Of course, culturally, they enjoy a lot of steel.
The George Washington house is still down there in Barbados. You can go and find it for yourself. And every single person, like whenever I tell them, oh yeah, I'm from Barbados, they're like, oh my goodness, that place is so lovely. That place is so lovely. I have to go back to that place. That place is so lovely. Yeah, Barbados is a very lovely place, to be honest. The only thing limiting Barbados is its size and population, but Barbados is sometimes not also called it's sometimes called Little England, but is also called the America of the Caribbean because it tends to punch above its weight. Now, there is a rumor to be a bit of oil offshore in Barbados. So who knows? Maybe the island might get an economic transformation in like the coming decade. We'll see.
Drum, calypso music, carnival, and they have a harvest festival called Crop Up, and more recently Rihanna's birthday.
It's called Crop Over.
It has actually become a very important day for Barbados, and whenever she comes back, the locals, they'll tell you that they love her, they're proud of her, but they don't treat her like royalty. She's just like one of the family. Barbadian.
Yeah, that is so true. A lot of people, like, oh my goodness gracious me, a lot of Americans specifically, like I always tell them that if you want to see Rihanna, just go down to Barbados. Like, she's always in Barbados, like all the time. Yeah, we don't really treat her crazy. You know, she has interesting backgrounds. I think I know my oldest brother saw her in Barbados. I'm pretty sure my mother also saw her in Barbados. I think I never saw her. I never cared about her, really and truly. I still kind of don't really care about her. I mean, it's great that she became famous and, you know, gave the island more highlights, but yeah, I never really cared about her. So yeah, to us, she's like, you know, a successful Bajan, pretty much. Although to Americans, she's like royalty.
Are also flying fish fanatics. They have flying fish coins, flying fish sculptures, flying fish on their coat of arms, flying fish holograms on their passports. They're even known as the land of the flying fish. And the national dish is kuku, which is a paste made out of
Sweet, sweet flying fish and cuckoo. Sweet, sweet flying fish. I don't know the whole song, but there used to be a song about flying fish and cuckoo back in Barbados. I forgot about this song, but I know it goes something like sweet, sweet flying fish and cuckoo. Sweet, sweet flying fish and cuckoo. Something like that.
cornmeal and okra, and flying fish. They love flying fish so much that they eat them, as you do with everything that you love. Finding Nemo got it wrong. In Barbados, fish are friends and food. Speaking of friends. Barbados loves people. For the most part, they have great relationships with all of their neighbors, especially the ones in the CARICOM community, as Barbados was a founding member of CARICOM. Many Barbadians actually also have family members in many of these island nations. They have 6 official on-site embassies for other countries, but also have many off-site embassies for countries like Colombia, Denmark, and France, hosted in other countries like Jamaica, Mexico, and Belgium. Otherwise, they have nearly 20 consulates in other countries. When it comes to the UK, not only do they have a tight historical relationship, but also a modern-day diplomatic one that displays a great cultural affection. Barbados is a Commonwealth country, with Queen Elizabeth as technically the head of state. And to this day, Barbados has more.
Well, I'm reacting to this when she's not the head of state. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Yeah, the way how they removed the monarchy was very untidy. It was personally, I to be honest, most Bajans, the way how they feel about the monarchy is they either don't care or they support it in a sense. And there's also that good bit of people who wanted it gone, but yeah, I don't really think they're the majority. But yeah, that the way how they removed the monarchy, very untidy.
More British nationals living in it than any other country in the Caribbean, and the third in the Americas after the US and Canada.
Yes, again, that's because Barbados was, it's still a very British society, and a lot of Brits love it there. It's quite literally just like the UK, but a tropical island, a smaller version of the UK, in a sense. In fact, I also talked to some English people, and some English people even told me that they find Barbados to be a bit funny because to them, it looks like an English county in some sense, like the way how Barbados is and the way how Barbados looks and everything. Like some people say it just looks like an average county in England. So
in terms of their best friends, they more or less might consider Trinidad and Tobago. Granted, in the past they did have territorial disputes over maritime boundaries, and there was that one song that Mac Final wrote that kind of pissed off the Barbadians when he said Barbados was part of Trinidad and Tobago. But all of that aside, they get along amazingly well and love to see each other whenever the opportunity comes for them to visit. The two countries also signed an agreement to construct a 177-mile-long liquid natural gas pipeline between the two to share resources and energy. In conclusion, Barbados is... No, I can't even do this. Rihanna, why didn't you answer my tweets? I tweeted you like 4 times. Come on. You had this opportunity. Stay tuned. Belarus is coming up next.
that's... You should have just went down there, fam. You should have just went down there. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, Rihanna is a national hero in Barbados now. She's been recently declared a national hero in Barbados. If you like my videos, check out my other reactions that are popping up on your screen right now. If you like my reactions, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned because I have a lot more reactions coming eventually.